All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show we have Jarvis Guthrie. Jarvis, how you doing?
Hey, Tim. Thanks so much. I'm doing good today.
Awesome, man. That's great to hear, and we like to jump right in. So if you could start with telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Man, I love to volunteer into prison ministry. That's my passion. That's what really gives me the strength, and it really fuels me, man. It's kind of hard to describe because I used to be incarcerated, and now I go back into the prison to volunteer.
I love it. And so when you volunteer at the prison, are you like, what exactly are you doing in the prison?
Well, but like we have different programs. We of course do like Bible study, spread the gospel, but sometimes we have events, different events, fatherhood programs and stuff like that. So it's case by case.
Okay, okay. There we go. There we go. And when did you start doing that?
I started this 2 years ago.
All right. There we go. There we go. I like it. I like it. Well, tell us a bit more about your motivation. What really gets you up and keeps you going when it comes to volunteering in the prison and just life?
Man, it is extremely hard transition from prison. We are discriminated, with housing, with employment, with education, and it's the most hardest thing I've ever experienced, Tim. I got out of prison in 2014, and I went and got my bachelor's degree, and it's still not good enough for corporate America. And just seeing my fellow brothers and sisters go back to prison because they did not have the same support system as I did, I want to be able to make that change for a lot of people.
I got you. I got you. So you've just experienced the difficulty of reintegrating back into society since leaving prison. You've seen some people go back, and that kind of hurts your heart, and so you want to make the world a better place for them, basically.
Right.
I feel that. I feel that. And so I know you mentioned your support system. Is that mainly family? Is that friends? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I actually met my pastor while I was incarcerated in 2013, and I've been under his wing ever since I've been out of prison. So not only do I have a big family, I have a church. I also have friends and a big family.
Okay. Okay. There we go. There we go. And so, do you work with the church? Do you just volunteer with the church? Are you still like looking for a job? Are you doing some entrepreneurial things?
Yes, man. So I'm usually a salesman. I get contracts, and my last contract ended in July. So I've been without employment for 3 months. But I just applied to be a supervisor over a juvenile facility, and right now I'm going through a exemption process. Well, basically a waiver to waive my background. So I actually have an interview with them Wednesday. So I'm pretty excited about that. Going from being formerly incarcerated to being employed by the state, that's all glory to God if that's his will.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I love that. And so, did you pick a supervisor over a juvenile facility just because of how close people who have been incarcerated are to your heart, or are there other motivations there?
Well, it's easier to heal broken children than it is broken men.
Yeah.
So I'm in 3 adult facilities and 2 juvenile facilities. So just volunteering and just, seeing what God has been showing me. And, I want to make a difference for the future, generation, people upcoming, because a lot of those young men in there, even though they're incarcerated, they're not, convicted felons. It's kind of hard to describe unless you've been to prison, unless you know how it is being unemployed because of your background and not getting further ahead in life. So I definitely want to be able to be that voice for them because they don't have to experience some of the same things I experienced. Go get a trade, go to the military, go to college. Because a lot of their records will be sealed and expunged. So it just takes you meeting one person in your life that can really make a big impact.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love your heart for that and your heart for the kids. Well, now we're going to jump into the meat of the podcast. Tell us about your dreams and goals. What's really your vision for your life?
Brother Tim, I had no idea that 10 years ago that God was going to call me to be a preacher and farmer. Sometimes it still blows my mind away because I was actually on my way to the military. I had a signed army contracts waiting to leave. And that's when I broke into a cop's house when I had too much to drink that night, partying. So I got sentenced to 2 years in prison. I got out of prison, and I was going to school, working on my degree, and taking care of both my parents. And my mom died in 2016, and my dad died in 2019. And after my father passed away, that's when I inherited 30 acres. And I stay in Jacksonville, Florida, and I wanted to go set up my father's funeral down in Blacka. And then that's when I realized that's when I was introduced by my aunts to the family farm. So my family, we have 60 acres, and there's only like 35,000 Black farmers in the United States, and this is a big legacy for me being able to get this farm up and going because I want the men who are inside of my prison ministry to be able to come live on the farm for free so they can get adjusted, to society. And just from just talking with my men for the past 2 years, some of them are not ready to come home to their family because a lot of the men have maybe burned bridges, and some of the family, they're still healing from, that void that these men have caused. So I want to be able to provide, a farm that's going to give them not only, housing, education, and employment, because I look at my life as my payment because I know I should be dead. That police officer's gun had jammed, and Jesus Christ is the only way, which Jesus Christ is the only is the only reason why I'm alive today, and being able to see all this glory, not only inside of prisons, but just every day, seeing his existence, seeing him move through people, seeing what he's doing in and through my life. I want to be able to, release some of the burdens from people coming out of Egypt. Amen.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. So right now you have 60 acres on a family farm, and you feel called to be a preacher and farmer on that farm, providing housing and employment for people in your prison ministry. I think you said one more thing: housing, employment, and what else was it?
Education.
Education.
Hmm.
I love it. I love it. And so, what type of education? Like, is it gonna be college education? Is it going to be, um, I don't know, what type of education do you foresee?
Looking back, um, I would go and get my trade. Like once you know who God is, God will reveal who we are. And every man has a gift and talents because the men they're going to have up to a year for free. So being able to get in tune with who they are, their gifts and their talents, and go that direction, whether it's plumbing, electricity, HVAC, entrepreneurship, being able to help guide these men because pastors we're shepherds. We have to lead our sheep into, green pastures, still waters, and being able to encourage them to walk by this faith and not by sight. Because if the men get out and go get a job at Subway working, $15 an hour, they're not going to get anywhere. It takes really much time and support and energy and finances and resources to really, help develop that gift.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. So, is the is the farm currently up and operating right now? Do you need to get it up and operating? Where's that at?
I'm currently right now leasing to my neighbor to keep the property taxes down on the farm. We've been raising money to rehab the house. The house is 900 square feet, and we are going to expand it to 1,200 square feet. And we've already got the whole property surveyed. We have easements. And right now, our next step is to meet with a designer so we can get roof plans, foundation plans, plumbing plans, plans for the house. Because in the 50s, they didn't have that. My grandpa, like,
Yeah,
nah, we don't have that. We have a roof, we got some plumbing, some water, we all right. But now, everything is different. So we have to get the house up to coding. So I'm in that process right now of finding a designer to help me with this project.
I love that. I love that. And how much money do you guys have to raise to rehab the house and get the farm like up, running, and active?
We have been able to raise $20,000, and our goal is $50,000 to be able to have the house up and running along with the farm. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. There we go. And so you're going to expand the house to 1,200 square feet. Is that going to be four bedroom, five bedroom, three bedroom?
So we're going to be able to house 6 men. So if you think of a square, we're expanding the house out. So there's a bedroom that's going to house 3 men on the left side of the house and the right side of the house. So it'll have a big kitchen and a big living space. So the men don't feel clustered, in a small house. That's why we're expanding it. So when they walk in, it's a big living room. In the back is the big kitchen. Then when you open the door, we're going to have like a patio, and outdoor, grilling. So on Sundays, their families can come over to the farm after they completed, I believe, 45 or 60 days, in the program. Their families will be able to start coming out there because we want this to help change the lives of families as well, everybody involved. Because once you're incarcerated, not only are you incarcerated, but your family is too, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. Alrighty. So you need 50K. You've raised 20K, and 50K will like cover the rehab. And I guess the farm is already operational, the whole 60 acres.
Yeah, so if you think of a square, the perimeter are woods, and we have about 30 to 40 green acres of pasture in the middle of the farm. It's very beautiful. We're gonna need a well, that's about $6,000, and we're also gonna need a tractor. So that 50K will help get the house, the tractor, and the well. So
Okay.
being on this journey, I never knew it went so much went into this. Not only my husband, a preacher, a farmer, electrician, a plumber. There's just so many things that I had to be involved with. That's really teaching me a lot. So I'm very excited about that because I'll be able to help other people. So it's definitely a process. It's all in God's timing, and I know that He's getting me prepared. For the ministry. I do have the heart to serve people, but we never want to be rushed or have an immature ministry. We want it to be fruitful, and that's where we're kind of at right now is waiting upon the Lord, because I realize that God has specific people that He wants to use for projects and for the vision and for the ministry. So I used to feel really rushed and really impatient, when I first started 2 years ago. And man, He definitely has slowed me down. So I'm very humbled in this process.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. That is man, that's awesome. I love that your vision is so clear and you already have the people that are going to be living in that house with you, I assume from your prison ministry. And so
Mhm.
it really is set up pretty well. And
Yeah,
sounds
they actually every time I go and see them, are we ready? Are we ready? And I said, man, it's some God's timing. So already we have like windows, doors, and floors that's been donated. And brother, like once we actually bring people out there and actually see the vision, that's when things really take off. So I'm just very excited for the opportunity. We usually have 2 events a year, one in the beginning and one at the end. And at the end of this year, we're going to have a small bonfire for the community, and just for me to take them around the farm tour where we're going to be growing our different growing methods, things of that nature.
I love it. I love it. Just curious, how long do you think it'll take to raise that final 30K and get the house up and operational with the six guys in it? Like, is their sentence like a year out? Is it 3 years out? Is it 5 years out for them to be able to like come move in? I'm just curious where
Next
all that's at.
next year,
Oh, okay.
because like see, I could take out like a home equity loan. I have a house that's paid off in Jacksonville, but that would be me rushing, in the process. So I'm really just praying for God to continue to supply the resources. If you look at David, Nehemiah, Ezra, Noah, God supplies all the resources for the people. Whether it's going to be a year from now, a 2 year or 3 year from now, that the land's not going anywhere. It's really about getting me prepared to be out there because we're over people's souls. It's different being a minister and preacher, and being able to deal with people with unclean spirits, with devils, with Goliaths. This is not just about, hey, come to my farm, let's count some sheep and have a good day. It's a lot more into it. It's about healing. It's about going in depth and changing these men's hearts and the way they think, and that can only be begin once they're born again through God.
Yeah.
So it's really on him. I'm praying for a year. I'll be 30 next year, and that's the same age that Jesus and John the Baptist started their ministries when they were 30. But if I'm 31 or 32, I'm just ready to really see the men come out there. That's what I'm really excited about, is just seeing the men with their families, we're eating and just having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Dude, that is awesome. I love that. I love it a lot. Well, cool, man. What are the top 1 to 2 skills that are required to make this dream come to reality?
Patience and being able to discern um, the Holy Spirit,
Okay.
when God do. You got to have some patience because we have all these plans with what we want to do, and the business plan I wrote 2 years ago has nothing to do with the business plan I have now. So God keeps adding to it and adding to it. And being a visionary, I see it and it's so beautiful. And sometimes we as visionaries, it's hard for us to convey the message to other people. So it's like, I'm pregnant with purpose, and I'm going through all this pain and tribulations trying to push this baby out. So you got to have patience, because God will teach you things. These are spiritual things, and you got to have wisdom because there's devils out there. Nobody really helps you when you're starting off, but when things are up and going, things like that, and as well just having discernment to pick and choose the right people that's fit for the farm. Just because you've been incarcerated doesn't mean that you're automatically approved for the program. So it's all about relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So discernment of the Holy Spirit and patience. And
Hmm.
what do you see the revenue being for the farm
Oh
per
man,
year?
George T. Wiley wrote a book that you can make a $250,000 off of 25 acres.
Oh wow.
So he was very powerful in the 40s and 50s because he would help struggling black farmers because we had like smaller acres than typical white farmers. They had hundreds and thousands of acres, and that's where you can really make money. Unless you have that amount of land, it's very hard to make money off small acres. So he created something called the CSA, which is the community support agriculture, where people sign up to buy weekly produce from the small farmers. So he was the one who invented that, and he really helped struggling black farmers. So I would just like to be able to um, hit hit about $150,000 because we want the farm to be self-sustaining, and we want our profits to be able to help the men get their driver licenses, pay their child support, pay any tickets, go to trade school. And like after the first 6 months, they'll be able to go get a job where they're still living on the farm where they're saving up. Because right now in this pandemic, man, paying $1,500 to $2,000 a month is hard for a lot of Americans, and being able to have that worry gone where what, I'm paying myself, I'm paying Jarvis his 10 or 15% for the ministry, and I'm able to walk away from the ministry with like $10,000 to $15,000. That's what I want to be able to see my men have walking away from the farm.
There we go. There we go. I love it. I love it. So with you got 60 acres and on 25 acres, you said somebody could make 250,000 and your target is 150 for the farm with all the extra being invested towards the men, reinvested back in the farm. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's called a agribusiness where we can do weddings out there, where we can have events, photography,
Yep, yep.
um, races, tractor rides. Um, I have missionaries who are going to come out there and do something called aquaponics, where we're raising tilapia and vegetables. Some pretty cool stuff. We can have horseback lessons, and this right here, it gives the men healing and therapy because when they're giving love to these animals, these animals are given love back. Because when you're incarcerated, there's a lot of inhumane conditions, from the food we eat to the staff and to the other people in prison, you know?
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. So I want just the men to be able to heal and receive that same love.
There we go. There we go. And what are the highest impact daily actions that will tick the needle forward, bringing this dream into fruition?
I'm in a dire need of some board members. Some
Mm,
board members, because I know when I first started is that I can't do this by myself. You know, being able to find people with the same heart as me, who sees my vision, who can take some of this load off of me. So board members, of course, we talked about the designer for all the house plans, and also donors.
there we go. There we go. So reaching out to board members and donors is really that action step.
Yes, sir.
Well, cool. I think you already kind of touched on this, but what character trait do you most need to develop right now to make your dream come true?
Character. Um,
Like you touched on patience, so I already wrote that down.
right.
Is that you think that's the most important one, or do you think that's discipline, focus, consistency, accountability? Like those are some other ones.
I would say
Love, being loving, being peaceful.
yes, I'm loving, because like sometimes in ministry you can have favoritism for people. So not to be judgmental, love everybody equal and treat people equal and meet that person where they're at, you
Yeah,
know?
there we go. There we go. Love it. Love it. Meeting people where they're at. That is so key to just life, every aspect of life. All right. So we already talked about this a little bit as well. But if there were one or two people that you could meet right now and they'd really help you take the next step towards these dreams and goals, who would they be and how would they help? So
Uh,
you said board members and donors. Do you have specific people in mind? And if not, describe what type of board member and what type of donor you would want.
I would love to meet George Washington Carver, um, and also Booker T. Washington, and probably Paul.
Oh, love it.
Paul.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, I'm pretty sure all these men are passed away though. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
If there was somebody alive that you could meet right now and they'd really help you take these next steps, who would they be? How would they do it?
Um, Somebody alive that I can meet. I'd love to meet. I don't know his name, but he is the founder of Bonton Farms. I believe he's in Texas. He's doing the same thing that I want to do, helping incarcerated men and women, and also the founder of Cultivate. He spells it CUL the number two VATE. There, that's another farm that also helps people released from prison. So if you think about it, like the workforce, uh, farming is so small. Like we make up like less than 5% of the workforce, but we're providing almost like 300 million people in food, so we are able to increase the workforce with felons, being able to get them back to the land after they're released from prison for, a year, to get that healing, to be able to duplicate these programs on other people's farms, because um, the average farmer is like 55 years old, so when this farmer dies, a lot of times their family doesn't want to take over their farm, so that's kind of like my long-term goal, is to be able to duplicate more farmers with helping felons and things of that nature.
There we go. There we go. Dude, founder of Cultivate and founder of Bonton Farms.
Yes.
All right. Now we're going to jump into our thriving three. First question is, what's your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one of them.
Of course, it's the Bible that gives me inspiration and motivation every day. Um, I've been reading a lot of goodness gracious, Farming While Black. I don't really know the authors' names. I'm not much of a reader, to be honest. When I was in prison, I read a lot of ooh, like scary suspenseful books. Stephen King.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Stephen King.
Okay. Okay. There we go. And what's one way you like to take care of yourself?
Um, I love running. I love playing football with my children. I love serving. I love cooking. I love eating healthy, and I'm a big advocate with that. Eating healthy.
There we go. And what is one action step that you can take right now or continue to take if you're already doing it to meet the founder of Bonton Farms or the founder of Cultivate?
Stay faithful, stay patient. A lot of times, like the people we reach out to might not be able to reach back out to us, but there's a lot of people that sees what we're doing. Stay faithful in the business in which God has given you, and stay faithful into the ministry in which God has given you, because there's people watching. You're making an impact. Stop being so hard on yourself. You take it day by day. You keep grinding. This is not for likes and shares and views. This is about a legacy. Like a legacy is not left in programs or buildings or books. A legacy is left in people. So whether I meet the cashier at the gas station or meet somebody right in front of me, we have an opportunity to make a difference in that person's life and vice versa. So just be grateful for life, man. Life's so good, bro.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love it. Alrighty. We got our final series of questions now. I didn't send these beforehand. These dive a little deeper. So if you don't want
Okay.
to answer them, feel free to be like, hey, I just want to pass. All right. What is one limiting belief that continues to pop up in your life, if any?
Hey, limits and beliefs. Sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough because it's only me. I'm able to help other people with their programs and business and ministry and do graphic designs. But sometimes I feel like I can't do anything for myself because sometimes I get too content with it. I'm too familiar with it. So it's really hard for me to be fresh and be creative.
Mm, I gotcha. I gotcha. And where do you think that comes from? That feeling that you're not good enough and that you can do stuff for other people, but you can't do stuff for yourself.
Um, I'm not sure where it comes from. That's something I've kind of been battling with. Um, I've had I've met a lot of great people through LinkedIn that helps me with coaching, with finances, with donations, but just I know I'm being developed right now in my life, and sometimes it doesn't feel good. Sometimes I get impatient, and it sometimes it doesn't allow me to be creative and do the things I want to do.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And what actions do you think you take that reinforce this limiting belief that you feel like you're not good enough or that you feel like you're alone in your business? And you don't have to do
Um,
these actions every day. Maybe that you do them once a week, once a month, whatever it may be.
well, what really keeps me going is I always visit the farm. So the farm is an hour away. So like when I'm feeling down or I'm burnt out, that's my getaway. And I'll just walk the whole 60 acres, man. I promise you, bro, I have a sermon for every piece of property out there, just praying and God, I need this, I need that. And just keep me patient, keep me faithful, keep me fueled up. Sometimes, I get burned out. I go, 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 go. And then, you know, I'll stop for a little while. So me and my wife, we just had a newborn baby. She's 2 months old. And I've been able to go down there, but my wife, she let me go down there yesterday. So I was really thankful to be able to go see the farm for the first time in 2 months. And, there's always problems. It took us almost a year and a half, brother, to get our permits and survey approved, but even though we're um, delayed, we're not denied, because if I was to go in there right now and say, you know what, I have all the plans, we're able to build a house, that program is not going to come out the way it should.
Yeah.
Even though I'm hitting these hurdles with making relationships with people or trying to implement a great program, Um, he's really developed me. That's where I know I'm at in my life. And I know that God's gonna send the people to really help the program get to the next level to be launched, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely no stuff. Yeah, stuff comes up, and even the survey thing with the year and a half, it's just like that's just the process, right? And that's part of breaking you down and molding you into the person you need to be.
Right. So I'll tell you this, man. We got approved the day my daughter um was born. And
Really?
that was God. Me and my wife were crying in the hospital. We just had a baby. Now we just got the news from the building and Colden that our everything got approved and we're excited. And okay, it's time to get in the roof. Hold on, wait, Jarvis. No, it's time to go with some plans. So God will give you designs, but He won't build it for you, you know?
Yeah,
And I know each person thus far that's been helping us with the program, it's been helping their lives as well, you know? So it kind of just allowed me and my wife to get closer together. We have 4 kids, and being able just to see the vision come to fruition, you know, because there's a big difference between chicken in the microwave and chicken in the oven, you
mm,
know?
yeah,
So just being able to be slow cooked and be developed, and God has taken all the infirmities and impurities away from me to make me ready to receive the men that's ready to come out there.
absolutely, absolutely. I love that. So if you were to change that limiting belief, that feeling that you're not good enough or the feeling that you're alone, if you were to change it into an abundant phrase that spoke to the part of you that is like limiting yourself, it's typically pain or some false belief that's limiting us, not aligned with God's promises for our life. So if you could maybe point out a piece of scripture or have God whisper something in your ear that spoke to that limiting belief, spoke truth into it, what would that phrase be?
It's Colossians chapter 4, verse 17. He says, continue to be faithful in which the ministry I've given you. And this was in the book of Colossians, and Colossians was a city that was on the decay. They were flourishing. It's a small city. And Paul writes the letter to encourage the pastor, Euphrasis, to continue with his ministry, because that's when people started rejecting Christ and started being influenced by man's tradition and philosophy instead of Christ's fullness with the preaching of the cross and the gospel. And Paul's writing his letter to say, you know what, stay faithful. You know, these people are starting to get, hypocritical. There's hearsay, there's gymnastics, you stay faithful into which I've given you. Do not abandon the ship, and that's what God's been telling me. Okay, so what, you don't have a board member? So what, you don't have 5,000 views? So what, you're not TikTok real person? You know what? So what? What I'm doing with you is priceless. Just trust in me. There's this ram on the other side of the mountain that's coming up. So that's what keeps me going. I can just look back and see how far that God has brought me out of when I'm taking um my tantrum or my baby fit, and I'm able to see what He has done, and it shuts me up, and that's what keeps going. Like God, He's our Father at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Keep going. Here's my hand. I'll pick you up for a little while, but I gotta sit you down. I gotta change your diaper. I gotta feed you. Come on, you're hard headed. You're not listening to me. Take a lap. Now I got to beat.
Take a laugh.
know, come on, son, what are you doing? You go this way. It is just, that's why I love being a Christian, because we have a relationship. It's intimacy, just like a real father, it's intimacy. So, man, people are very, blown away what they've been able to see me do. I'm out of prison, and it's like, I say it humbly, but I'm just living a normal life, man. Like my dad would say, you're supposed to have a job, you're supposed to have a car, you're supposed to, go to college, you're supposed to be doing these things, but what are you doing to stand out?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
So I'll take it in as, very thankful, but it's nothing supernatural or extraordinary that I'm doing. I'm just living the life and being obedient to what God has called me.
I love it. All right, we got one last question for you. And I want to frame this next question. So, Alex Hormozy said that the difference between manipulation and help is intent. So, just keep that in mind as I kind of read this next question. So, there's a common saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I actually found out from Dr. Alan Leica, a guest who I had on the show, that you can make a horse drink. You just have to salt its oats. Now, I want you to think about a person who has a really fixed mindset. They're not willing to accept help. They're not willing to accept change, and they hate their life. They're not happy with where they are.
Mm.
How can we, you and I, create an environment to salt their oats and help them change their life so that they can walk in, contentment and just being happy with who they are and where they're at?
Wow. Um, I would need like a specific person, to be able to answer that question. Could you give me like
I can go ahead and describe. Um, I'll describe my
like,
little brother. I'd say he has a pretty fixed mindset. He's not willing. So he is in a place in his life where he's not really enjoying life. He wants to make progress, but he's not making progress. He's upset with himself. He's upset with life. He's upset with a lot of people. And I go to him and I talk to him about maybe reading a book or maybe taking this action step or maybe having this conversation, asking him questions. And that's like he's kind of stuck, but he's also not willing to accept help or any change in his life. So that's kind of what I'm talking about.
wow. I'll take him to prison with me. I bet I will. Wait. Hey, what's his name?
Troy.
Hey, Troy, you gonna spend one day with me on a Friday night? We're gonna spend the whole day in prison. I bet it's gonna change your outlook on life. These people, man, you don't want that. Sometimes we don't realize how blessed we are. But I tell you this, 2 years ago, before I received the farm, I was like that, man, because I was seeking purpose. I was searching for who am I? It is a battle with identity. So maybe your brother's going through a identity crisis. When you don't know who you are, how can you do something? You understand? If I don't know what I'm called to do or what I'm great at, and I'm like Will Smith on The Pursuit of Happiness, I'm miserable. You know, I'm miserable. I'm trying to figure out. I'm stuck right now. I can't get out of bed. I can't do these things because I had no passion and no drive in me because I can't find that. And it really takes time, man. It really takes time to find these things. And we have to really comfort people during this time because you never know what somebody's going through, man. Mental illness is real, suicide is real. Walking out the side and shooting somebody is real. A lot of people have different triggers. So we have to be mindful, with that situation, man, because it's not a good feeling, bro. It is not. But there's, on the other hand, there's people who wants to smoke weed all day and stay with their mom and play Madden. No, it's time to tighten up and get a job. you know
Yeah.
that's a story. That's a different type of mindset. But the mindset I was thinking about was, that was on my spirit, man. um so that's kind of happened, man. We can go to the prisons, but we need to love these people, and be patient with them. We can introduce them to different things.
Yeah. I love that. I love like kind of getting them into a prison to like shock their reality. And when you shock their reality, maybe it gives them a different perspective on life. Maybe it really helps them just have that attitude of gratitude, right? Be thankful for where they're at and take advantage of the opportunity that they have. And I think that's what's really important about that prison. And then with that, when you shock their reality and you take them out of their own kind of self pity, you give them a chance to reevaluate their identity, reevaluate their purpose. And so I like that. Here's the catalyst, shock them, shake their world up, and then be like, now who do you want to be? Who do you think you really are? What do you think you're really here for? And then loving them and being patient with them through that process. I like that.
Right. And as well as like just taking people to like Costa Rica or Honduras, like these third world countries where people are living in extreme poverty, because sometimes we forget how blessed we are and how spoiled rotten America is,
Mm,
So it just depends on the person and the situation. That's all. But I appreciate you answering that question. I really enjoyed that.
for sure, man. For sure. Well, awesome, Jarvis. That's all we got for you. Is there anything else you want to chat about before we sign off?
Oh man, what was your biggest takeaway tonight, man? And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway was just your focus on being faithful and being patient. Because I'm entrepreneurial as well. I'm 23. I'm a lot less patient than you are. I'm like, no, let me drive revenue now and let me use that revenue to impact people. But it's like maybe I don't have the character yet, and God is still pruning me, and that's why that revenue hasn't entered my life because I'm not a person who can handle that responsibility yet. Or maybe God just has other plans, and those plans mean it needs to happen in a year as opposed to right now. And so there's things that you can always be doing. You should always be taking massive action. I think that's a part of staying faithful. But another part of staying faithful is staying patient. And so I think that's the biggest thing that spoke to me, mainly because my impatience at the age of 23 is like, I want to help people. I want to help people. I want to help people. But it's also like, God has a plan for them. He has a plan for me. And I need to trust that plan and not beat myself up about not being where I'm not yet, if that makes sense.
Right. So the Bible says that your gift will make room for you. Okay. Before I got into farming, I was driving trucks. I was in the trucking business with my dad. We were generating $350,000 a year, bro. And our revenue was 350, and our profit margin was between 30 and 40%. So I was doing all my dad's paperwork, admin, loader boards, and we're getting paid every 3 days, $6,000, $12,000, $9,000. And I can't tell you how miserable I was because my father spent 20 years in the military and 20 years driving trucks. And by the time I finally got him, he had leukemia and cancer. I love my dad, but we had no time together.
Yeah.
No. So money's not everything. If you love what you do, the money will come, you know. I'm not making no money farming or preaching,
Yeah.
but that I will get there. I've handled money before. I know what it takes to get money. I know how to open up another box truck to do it. But I'm trusting God, and my wife's like, Jarvis, this ain't it.
Yeah.
I said, we got to go. We got to keep on going.
Hmm.
Walking out on faith and knowing that that God has your back. It's an amazing experience, but it's a very testing experience. So he's developing you as well, man. He's refining that gift, and you have to trust in that because once you get good in your gift, people are gonna be calling you. Hey Tim, I need this done. What's your price? All that will come, but what he's doing with you now is critical. It's important. He's defining you, my brother.
Yeah. Absolutely. I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And it's definitely something that I want to focus on more because I lose sight of it often. I'll be like, dang it, why can't I get my 10K in revenue, 20K in revenue, or whatever it may be? Run my Facebook ads and get this sold, or whatever it is. But yeah, so I appreciate that reminder.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks so much for your time, Tim. I got uh wife and families and babies crying. I have to go back to my daddy duties.
Of course, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Let me give us a quick outro, real quick. If you guys were listening to what Jarvis had to say and you liked it, make sure to check him out. Make sure to support. Hit him up if you know a board member or a donor that would be good for his farming business. And thank you guys for coming and watching the show. We'll see you on the next one. On that note, we're out.